Hey guys, so today we're going to dig up some horseradish preparation for the holidays. This bed used to be really tall with huge leaves, and that was before the horseradish died back now that it's fall, and I'll put a picture of it right here. So now that we're down just to roots, it's time to dig, and you can see just these little areas here. This whole bed from that piece of wood over to Sarah's head is all horseradish. So last year I dug some up and gave it to the neighbors. This year everybody should have their own because they planted it. So I'm going to do a little digging and we're going to make some fresh horseradish. Just a little bit of info. If you have horseradish, plant it somewhere where it's not going to go everywhere, because once you plant it you will have horseradish forever. It moves like blackberries do, not quite as fast, but it will eventually take over this whole bed, and we'll have horseradish forever. So if you're going to plant it. This is an above ground bed. It's got plastic in the bottom, not that that will really stop it, but we pretty much keep it in check. So yeah, I'm going to get digging here. Alright, so got a couple nice, pretty big roots here, couple, 5, and I wanted to show you that the roots will get huge, like daikon radish size. They'll get gigantic, but until that time, every year they'll put off these tiny little roots, which you can use, but it's a lot easier to get a bunch of horseradish from something this big than it is for something this big. But these small type of roots are running all throughout here. Some of them are pretty small, but that's how you dig up horseradish. And anything that I broke with the shovel, like the end here, it's going to grow in, fill in, and come back next year bigger and better. So let's take this over to the sink. So outside here I do have a nice workstation that's under a cover. And so I've got a sink and a garden supply area where I keep some of my tools and whatnot. And it's underneath this cover. It was a birthday present from my man. And the water just goes from the sink down this tube and dumps out onto the ground here. So when I'm using the sink, I don't really have to worry about capturing anything in one of these, because it's just going to go right through that tube and out onto the ground. I don't have hot water, but I usually don't need it. Of course, it's 32 degrees today, so it's pretty chilly, but we'll go ahead and just get to this and get everything scrubbed up. Alright, you guys, so I highly recommend you process your horseradish outside. You can do it inside, but it's going to want to chase you outside. It is potent. So I would suggest you do it outside. Plus you're going to just throw all your scraps on the ground. So I'm just trimming off the green and anything just preliminarily that I don't want to deal with, and then we're going to peel it. And that's really when we get to the beautiful white horseradish that you and I both know and love. So I just have a regular peeler here, and I'm just going to start peeling. Alright, so now we have all of our little pieces. So all of those big pieces came down to just these pieces. And, you know, they're mostly white. So what we're going to do now is we could either grate this on a box grater, which is tedious, arduous, and produces a lot of gas from the horseradish. What I'm going to do is cut these up into small pieces and then put them into my food processor, which I will also bring outside. So right now, let's go ahead and just start chopping these up into, let's say, little rounds. Horseradish in this stage is very woody. It has, I don't even know what you would call that, but it's woody. I guess that's the best way to say it. So you want the pieces to be manageable size for your food processor to get through. Or like I said, you can run it through a box grater, which I've done before, but it takes a lot of time. You get a lot of bruised knuckles and you can't breathe half the time. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the rest of this up, put it in my little container here, and we'll get out a food processor. Alright, you guys, so now we're here for the fun stuff. So I got all my horseradish chopped up, and I have about 2 cups of it, which is about 500 milliliters, more or less. And I also have a little bit of sea salt. You can use whatever kind of salt you like if you want to use it at all. And I have some plain white vinegar. So when you first process the horseradish, you're going to break up all the woody parts that are in there, and that's going to start releasing that pungent horseradish smell, and it's going to bring the heat. So if you like your horseradish hot, you're going to want to just break up all those fibers and let it sit for up to about 10 minutes. If you want your horseradish mild, wait a minute to 2 minutes and then start adding vinegar. The vinegar is what is going to stop the horseradish from getting any hotter, and it's also going to stop this oxidation that you can see happening. These pieces that were beautifully white are now starting to turn tan. So there you go. When we first grind this all up, it's still going to be really woody. We'll add some vinegar to it. That's going to make it less woody. But really, if after you put the vinegar, the horseradish, some salt together, and let it sit for a day or two and then blend it again, that's when you're going to get that beautiful smooth sauce. And at that point you can add in sour cream if you want a cream of horseradish sauce. What we're making today, strictly just horseradish, the full meal deal. Prepared horseradish that'll blow your socks off. I am actually outside on my new porch because doing this in the house is asking for trouble. People say it's like doing onions. It's not like doing onions. This stuff will blow your head off. So I'm going to start grinding this horseradish, and let's get started. So since this doesn't seem to be breaking down very fast, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of water to give it something to hold on to. Just a couple teaspoons. And let's hit it again. Much better. I'm going to stop you though, because if I put you on the table while I'm grinding, you're going to bounce all over, so hold on. Alright, let's take a look inside. This is when you want to stay away from the lid. Yep, that's not grinding very well. Woo! That is very, very strong. All right, you guys, so what I had to do was take the blender off the food processor off the table, put it by the door where my outlet is, because I thought maybe I was losing too much power through the cord, and now we're doing pretty well here. You can see, I'll turn it on and show you. And I can also tell you that it is very, very strong. I'm extremely happy I did this outside. But I do like my horseradish hot, so I'm going to put on a timer now, and we're going to sit for 10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes, and we're back up on the table again. So take a look inside. You can still see it's really still has that kind of woody texture to it. So now we're going to go ahead and add some vinegar. And I've done this off and on for years. I mean, I've been growing this stuff for years, and I've looked up lots of recipes, and nobody really has a set amount of vinegar they use. So I'm going to give you kind of a rule of thumb to start with, and then you can play with it all you want, or not use any at all. But then you need to eat this right away. It's part of the preservative process. So I'd say for 2 cups of horseradish root, I'd use about 1.5 cups of vinegar, pouring it in a little bit at a time. If you like it spicier, back off on the vinegar. If you like it smoother, put more vinegar in and maybe even some water. I did end up adding water to this because I wanted it to grab something to chop up with and smooth out, so that's what we did. I'd also suggest some salt. This is sea salt. I'm just going to put in a couple pinches, 1/4 teaspoon. And we're going to turn it on. And now I'm just going to drizzle some vinegar in through the top while this is going. All right, so that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, you can still see there's a lot of woodiness in here, pieces. I'm going to put this into a container, and I'm going to let it sit for a day or two, and then I'm going to bring it out and blend it up again, because I want it to be creamy and smooth, but I don't necessarily want to add sour cream to it. So that's what I'm going to do. Right now, it's perfectly edible. You could eat it just like this, and it is strong. Mellowing or leaving it in a container too will mellow it out. Once this is finished, and it's as smooth or as chunky as you like it, with vinegar, with a good amount of vinegar, 3/4 cup or more, it will last about a month in your refrigerator with the salt too. Less if you have less vinegar and less salt, but you're going to be able to look at it and tell when it's changing. It won't smell right, and it won't look right. It'll start to get really brown. So anyway, that's how you make horseradish. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and again, you can add sour cream to that to make it cream of horseradish, but it's really that easy. Lots of little steps, but none of them are too difficult. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Alright, you guys, so I was going to leave you hanging and tell you just to wait a few days and then zip this up again to make it creamy, but you know, I just can't do that. I want you to see everything I see. So it's been 24 hours. We still have these, I think of them as like small little pulps, wood pulp. But you get it, right? There's small little pulps in here. And generally with prepared horseradish, you're going to find that. But let's give it a whiz and see if 24 hours makes this any better. And I'm going to turn you off while I do that. You see I added a little bit more vinegar. It is so strong in here, you guys. It's still crazy hot. My husband came out here last night and he didn't know what I had in this container, and he took it off and took a whiff of it while I was barbecuing, and a little yelp ensued. He's so funny. Like, you killed me, you're burning my eyes, my eyes. All right, so I added some more vinegar. Still pretty pulpy. Very hot. But you know what? It's getting a little sweetness to it. But still very hot. All right. I am going to let this sit another 24 hours and see. It's kind of liquidy in there, because I added that extra vinegar. So tomorrow, later today, I'll give it a little whip. What I'm hoping is going to happen is that all these little woody bits are going to absorb water, or vinegar, excuse me, and get super soft so I can blend it up. And if after 24 hours that doesn't happen, I'm probably going to start adding something like sour cream. But what I really need is some store-bought horseradish so I can look at it and see if it's still really this pulpy, because I haven't bought any in so many years I can't remember what it looks like. But anyway, so this is day 2, 24 hours later, and next time you see me, it'll be later. Okay, you guys, so now it's been 48 hours and I brought this inside. I don't know if that's a mistake or not, probably, but I've had vinegar in it for a while, but it is still so pungent, and we still have that pulpiness. But let's give it a spin. I haven't done that yet today, and let's see, oh my gosh, if it improves any. So I'm going to give it a spin right now. Still like it was, but so that's just how it's going to be, I think. It still tastes good. It's just kind of strange. So I'm not able to get that woodiness out of here, so what I'm going to do is leave a little bit of that prepared horseradish in there. I'm removing the bulk of it to use on some prime rib. But I'm going to add some sour cream to this and see if we can get something that's more smooth. Yeah, smoother but still has pulp. So I'd say cream of horseradish works. It is better, but you can still see that texture, but it's not nearly as textured as that is. So anyway, there you have it. Cream of horseradish, prepared horseradish. It's a good thing.